Hi there, it is June 28th and it's time to do our June update, garden update. It's a little bit later than we were hoping, but nonetheless we're still in June, so we're gonna get an update in. And as you can see, it's a little foggy. It's actually, 1 o'clock. So today is one of the days we're dealing with the smoke from Canada and wildfires. It's actually pretty crazy. It's like half mile that way, you can't even see the woods. So we'll start here at this hoop house. I'll just kind of explain where things are at, maybe what was in that bed, and what's going to go into it. So here we harvested potatoes in the 2 left beds, and I have insect netting laid out. I'm going to plant cucumbers there, our second plant of cucumbers. And here we have beets. So we have the beets that we will be harvesting are up towards the top. This is the planting after that. So these we'll get to in about a month. These are just starting to size up. And then we got celery up there, which is pretty much ready to harvest now. It looks beautiful. This is the first year that we've actually done celery in the hoop house in the spring, or in our first planting. Usually we do it in our later planting to extend into the winter. But we're doing it all the time now because the celery just likes it. It's a lot better. You get longer stalks. So here we're outside, and last time in, what was it, May, these were all under row cover, and now you can see they're all lush, filled out. So these are zucchinis up at the top, or yellow squash here. We've actually been having to hand pollinate them. I haven't really seen any bees out yet on the squash plants, and I think that might be because it's been so cool for June. So a lot of, not only our honeybees, but a lot of the natural pollinators I don't think are out quite yet. I think they like when the temperatures are warmer. So we have green onions. We had green onions up towards the top there. Now it's planted to carrots. And here we have our mini sweet peppers in the top 2/3 of this bed, and green onions. And we'll put our next planting of green onions in between there. Here we have our blue potatoes that are looking really nice, flowery now. So those will start to be sizing up over the next month or two. And these beds here, we just have succession plantings of carrots. So I think some of these beds were coming up last time we saw you in May. But these now are coming up and looking nice. And here we have our cucumbers. We have pickling cukes and then slicing cukes in those 2 beds. These are pickling down here. These here are way behind because we actually had kale that overwintered, and I had, before we planted these, I cut down the kale and I thought that would kill it, but it actually kind of regrew. So it took me a couple times coming here and cutting the kale down for it to finally give up. But I think that kind of made the cucumbers suffer because they're competing with the kale. And the kale plants, I think, actually cooled the soil too, so the cucumbers didn't take off right away. But that's all right. It's never perfect everywhere. So here we have some yellow squash plants, some extra ones I threw in here just to fill in the gap that was left. And here we have black raspberries that we're actually starting to harvest. You can see here. We don't sell them. These are just for us, but it is something. They're looking really nice. It is something that in the future we're thinking we might do more of.
Stuck in the netting.
Oh well, it's worth it, even if you lose half the juice. So yeah, these black raspberries are just kind of in our hedgerow mulch system where we just put down wood chips, and they're going crazy. And now it's been 2 years that the mulch has been sitting and breaking down. So it takes time, but if you can wait, the weeds are easy to manage, and the soil health is phenomenal. So we're actually thinking they're doing so well here, I think we're going to put in another row here. We use this as a drive for our golf cart, but we haven't been using it as much. We usually just come down the center. So instead of just mowing it, we're actually thinking we're going to mulch this whole section and put another row. And if that's the case, then maybe in a couple of years we will have some berries to share with you.
We're going to make a raspberry pie.
Ooh, raspberry pie. Here we're at our big hoop house, and so we have We had our strawberries that we planted. We have a few plants that I left. Some at the top, I left a whole section. I'm going to trim the runners and start new plants to plant in the fall for next year in the hoop house. And that's why I'm leaving with some of these healthy plants. I'm going to save the runners. But interplanted with all that, it's kind of hard to see now, but in July update, you'll see it better. There's ginger and turmeric that are just starting to come up. And there's a few plants there in this bed. If you look halfway up, they're just odd stalks coming up with some leaves. Those are turmeric that I must have missed last year when I harvested, and it came up fine. So it's kind of neat to see that I can almost leave the turmeric in over the winter and it'll come up fine. So it's something that we might change in the future. We got all of our peppers, bell peppers, got a half row of tomatoes. So those are more, we got a few cherries, but mostly Roma and our yellow tomatoes up at the top. Here we have, under this row cover, this is watermelon. So they're a little bit later. They take a little bit longer to get going, but they're probably actually starting to, it'll probably need to come off soon. See plants there. But I do this to I leave the cover on to give them a little bit of a head start. It keeps the cucumber beetles off, even though the watermelon plants do not get wilt like the other squash and melon plants. But the cucumber beetles are feeding on the watermelon plants, it still does kind of stress them out a little bit. And here we have our gold potatoes. These definitely are, see, some are starting to die off. So these are definitely a quicker growing plant or potato. They mature quickly, but I do let them sit a little bit. I don't like to harvest them too early or else they won't store well. And here we have our pumpkins that I need to get the row cover back over to just add a little more heat, but they're okay. I have the insect netting on for cucumber beetles. So you can see here, this is starting to grow out. This netting isn't long enough to get them all, but this here is from the cucumber beetles are in there eating some of the plant. But they won't kill the plant, but what they'll do is they could inject a virus that a couple months from now will kill the plant. So we have more gold potatoes. Here we have our sweet potatoes. I think last time we may have arugula, kale, and spinach. Those are all out. Now we just have sweet potatoes and onions. The onions are starting to bulb up, so they'll be out in about a month and a half. And that's about when the sweet potato plants will really be filling in the area. So here we have, in these beds, we got garlic. These will probably be harvested in about a week, actually. And I actually have sweet potato plants planted in between here with the garlic. It's kind of something new I'm trying, but I'm thinking it's gonna work. They'll be a little bit later. The potatoes may not get as big, but that's all right. We actually like a little bit of a smaller sweet potato. So here we have our hedge, which looks beautiful. Last time it probably wasn't in bloom much, but this is kind of my favorite spot to walk by, just seeing all the different flowers that are in bloom. You got coreopsis, you got that red kind of yellow flower, that's Arizona sun. And yeah, there's rhubarb, lavender, blueberries, Rebecca. These here are burning hearts. Just, yeah, we like it. Adds a lot of color to the gardens and brings in a lot of different insects, which is good. So yeah, there's our orchard, which is still doing all right. We had one tree die, but hopefully we'll get that one replaced. But yeah, I don't expect they're gonna do much this year. I mean, they're alive and they're doing okay. But I think next year and the year after next, they're gonna really take off as the wood chips break down. And we have raspberries and the sporadic rhubarb in there. The raspberries are really filling in. Be nice. Got our whole potato planting. So these, I think in May, these were probably just barely coming out of the ground. Now they're up, they're flowering. A lot of them have already flowered, and probably in about a month we'll harvest them. So yeah, they look nice. here we have our strawberry patch, which is undercover. So we're doing that to kill off the plants and all the weeds, and then we're going to plant our second planted winter squash in this area. And it's so hard to keep a healthy strawberry patch more than 1 year. We've done it, but it just takes a lot of work. And so we're kind of more of the mindset, we plant, harvest 1 year, and then we terminate it. And that hopefully will help with disease from getting too much of a foothold. And we can move our patch around more often. So this row here we are going to keep though. This row is definitely the nicest. And AC Valley, I actually wasn't able to get starts for AC Valley this year. So I want to keep this row because they were nice. This was our first year of harvesting AC Valley, and I would say kind of impressed. And there's still some strawberries on there that are just for us to nibble on. But yeah, I will renovate that. I'll mow it off. I'll put fresh compost on top and probably thin back the bed a little bit. So here we have some lettuce. So we have netting on because the cucumber beetles will also damage the lettuce, so we want to keep them off.
I have something to show them.
Ooh, little worm.
Look, is that a bad one?
I don't know.
Is that a caterpillar?
I'd say that's more of a worm. Caterpillars are bigger.
Should I kill it?
It's probably gonna be a moth.
Should I kill it then?
And these are our new strawberry plants. So this will be our new patch here. We got 6 beds. And we got Early Glow, the first 2 beds, Jewel, the next 3. And then the last row is All Star. So we have a planting of cabbage and broccoli and lettuce. So the strawberry plants take forever to fill in. So we just try to utilize the space. You can see here, these are getting attacked heavily by flea beetles. And that's a flea beetle right there. It'll hop off of there. Watch. Boing. Let's see. Yeah, these leaves, they damage when they're little. That's why they look so bad. But the new leaves are looking better. As the plant gets bigger, it'll kind of come out of that. But when they're little, the flea beetles, the little bit of damage they do kind of gets magnified as the leaves get bigger. Just watch where you step there, Stefan. These are muskmelon, which look really healthy. And again, I hope, just like the squashes, the bees I haven't really seen on them yet. They're just starting to open up flowers on their fruit, so I hope the bees will begin to get active. I'm not sure. We have 4 hives on the property, but I'm not sure where they're going. There's a lot of clover in bloom right now, and so I think they're... So yeah, I think there's a lot for them to forage in the fields, but once it gets hot and a little more dry, I think they'll come to the garden more. So we have some more onions. Oh, Stefan. Oh. And here we have our tomato hoop house. So we got all of our cherries. They're just starting to ripen. And we have our slicers. This is Early Girl. And then we have a determinate row of Mountain Merit and Mountain Fresh Plus. So these had carrots next to them last time we saw you. And yeah, in a month's time, they've probably grown 3 feet. You keep going, honey. Well, that one's gonna be kind of sour. It's a little green. We'll try it. All right. We got Swiss chard and kale. And our onions again. These were probably pretty little last time. And all of our sugar snap peas, which it's nice to look out there and see a big patch of green and lushness. But I don't know how many of you have picked peas before. It takes a lot of work. So that's why for a pint we sell them for $4. Some people might think that's kind of pricey. But if you've ever picked peas, they're worth it. They're sweet. A pint's worth will really actually get you quite a bit. And they're not easy to pick. There are a lot of back pain. late night massages to get through it. So, yep. Until next time, this actually will be out in July. Next time we do our video, these will probably all be taken out and there'll be potatoes here. So actually this week, I'm gonna be going through here and planting potatoes about every foot in between. So we have 2 rows in each bed, and every foot I'm gonna plant a potato. Take about 2 weeks for the potatoes to come up, and by then these peas will be out of here. So we like to just keep beds planted as much as we can. Right now, I'd say the garden's like 99% planted, besides just little sections that, like, the next succession is going to go into. Everything's planted, so it's kind of nice to do that. But until next time, eat well, live well, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, like it if you like it, and hope to see you next time.